You've probably sat through the Avatar movies, or at least seen clips of these absolutely incredible blue aliens called the Na'vi, and if you're anything like us, you've wondered about virtually everything regarding their biology and existence. Well, buckle up, because we're about to take a comprehensive journey through the anatomy and biology of one of sci-fi's most captivating species. From their origins on Pandora to how they might evolve in the upcoming films, we're going to explore every fascinating detail. Trust us, there's way more to these beautiful blue people than just their striking appearance and those incredible neural braids. The origins of the Na'vi, a mystery wrapped in evolution. Alright, let's start at the very beginning with one of the biggest questions. Where did the Na'vi actually come from? The truth is, James Cameron himself has kept this pretty close to the chest, but we can piece together something from what's been revealed. The Na'vi are deeply integrated into Pandora's ecosystem, and that's intentional. One prominent theory suggests that the Na'vi might actually be an artificially engineered species, possibly created by another advanced alien race millions of years ago. Think about it. They share an incredibly intimate biological connection with Pandora through something called the Sahelu, which is basically a neural network that connects all life on the moon. It's almost like someone designed the perfect species to live in harmony with their planet's ecosystem. Another school of thought is that the Na'vi simply evolved naturally on Pandora, but their evolution was guided or influenced by Awa, the sentient consciousness of the planet. Awa might have essentially shaped them to be the perfect caretakers and inhabitants of Pandora. The more spiritual interpretation, which the Na'vi themselves believe, involves their connection to Awa and their spiritual understanding of creation. They have their own creation myths and beliefs, though Cameron has deliberately kept these somewhat mysterious. What we do know is that the Na'vi have been around for an incredibly long time. We're talking thousands or even millions of years of evolution on Pandora. They haven't fundamentally changed much in that time, which tells us they're incredibly well adapted to their world. Physical stature. How tall are these blue giants really? If you've watched the movies, you know they're seriously tall compared to humans, but what are we really dealing with here? The average Na'vi male stands between 9 to 10 feet tall, with some reaching up to 12 feet or even slightly beyond that. Some of the largest recorded Na'vi males have reached approximately 3.9 meters in height, nearly 13 feet. For comparison, even the tallest humans ever recorded rarely surpass 8'11". Female Na'vi tend to be slightly shorter on average, typically ranging from about 8 to 10 feet tall. Their height allows them to move through their jungle environment with incredible grace and efficiency, reaching branches that would be impossible for humans to access. It also gives them a significant advantage in physical combat, which is important for their warrior culture. Facial features and skin. The distinctive appearance. The Na'vi have smooth, iridescent cyan blue skin that's actually quite beautiful when you really look at it. The blue coloration is likely an adaptive feature on Pandora, though the exact biological reason hasn't been fully explained in the films. What we do know is that this coloration is consistent across all Na'vi, though different clans sometimes have slight variations in their skin tone and markings. Their facial structure is also really unique. They have high cheekbones that give them a somewhat feline appearance, and their skull is proportionately quite small compared to their body. Their faces are longer and more angular than human faces, with a pronounced snout that extends further forward than a human nose. They also have those incredible golden or amber eyes that are absolutely massive compared to human eyes. These eyes are incredibly sensitive and can detect wavelengths of light that humans can't see, including near-infrared radiation. This means the Na'vi can literally see heat signatures, which is an absolutely insane evolutionary advantage for hunting and survival. One of the most distinctive facial features of the Na'vi are their ears. They have large, pointed ears that sit higher on their head than human ears and are much more prominent. These ears are incredibly expressive and are actually used for communication and expressing emotion. If you watch the Na'vi closely in the films, you can see their ears shifting and moving to reflect their emotional state. They also have feline-like whiskers around their mouth that are actually tactile organs, helping them sense their movement. And here's something cool, their noses actually have additional nostrils on their chests, which gives them an extra respiratory advantage. Also, their skin is covered with these bioluminescent markings that can change color based on their mood and emotional state.
Make the bond gently.
The prehensile cube. their connection to everything. Now, most people just see this as a long, elaborate braid hanging from the back of their heads, but that's seriously underselling it. The Q is actually a neural whip, an extension of the Na'vi's entire nervous system. At the end of this Q are incredibly intricate branching neural tendrils that can physically connect with similar structures in animals, plants, and even the moon itself through a process called sihelu. This neural connection is absolutely fundamental to Na'vi existence and spirituality. When a Na'vi connects their Q to an animal, they're sharing sensory information and creating a genuine bond. They can feel what the animal feels, sense what it senses, and experience a form of unified consciousness. It's honestly one of the most fascinating biological features in science fiction. The Na'vi braid their hair over this neural whip from birth, protecting it from damage, because if your Q gets severely damaged, you lose access to this entire dimension of existence. This connection, called the sihelu, allows Na'vi to bond with creatures like the dire horse and mountain banshee. It's essential for hunting, for warfare, and for spiritual practices. In fact, when a Na'vi finds a mate, they also connect Qs in an incredibly intimate ritual that creates a bond for life. This connection goes beyond anything humans experience. It's a complete melding of consciousness and sensation. Female Na'vi actually have two separate Qs, which makes the reproductive process particularly interesting. The Q is so important to Na'vi identity that losing it or having it damaged is considered a major tragedy, almost like losing a limb, but way more spiritually significant.
Latiri calls me scown. It means moron.
Upper and lower limbs. 4 digits of perfection. Unlike humans with their 5 digits on each hand and foot, Na'vi have only 4 digits. Each hand has 4 fingers and 1 thumb, creating a really effective gripping apparatus. Similarly, their feet have 4 toes plus an opposable big toe, giving them incredible grip and stability when navigating through trees or climbing. This 4-digit system might seem like a step backwards evolutionarily, but it's actually perfectly suited for their environment. The thick, strong digits are tipped with slightly curved nails that provide excellent grip on bark and branches. Their hands are long and slender, with incredible dexterity that allows them to create their complex weapons, jewelry, and tools. The fingers are elongated, which gives them a really graceful appearance, but also provides functional advantages for manipulation and craftsmanship. Their feet are also designed more like a climber's foot than a walker's. The arch is incredibly high and flexible, allowing them to grasp and manipulate surfaces in ways human feet simply can't. When you see a Na'vi climbing or moving through the canopy, you're witnessing millions of years of evolutionary perfection for arboreal life. The opposable big toe is particularly important for gripping branches during movement, and it gives them a level of agility that honestly makes humans look pretty clumsy by comparison. The tail. Balance and expression. Here's something that makes the Na'vi absolutely distinct from humans. They have long, prehensile tails. We see this in the movie, but do we really understand how important these things are? A Na'vi tail is typically quite long, around 5 to 6 feet, and it's muscular and covered in the same iridescent blue skin as the rest of their body. The tail serves multiple purposes, and honestly, it's a really elegant evolutionary solution to several problems. First and foremost, the tail is an incredible tool for balance. Given the Na'vi's height and their arboreal lifestyle, having an extra limb for balance is absolutely essential. When they're moving through trees, climbing, or even just standing on uneven terrain, the tail provides a counterbalance that allows them to remain stable. Na'vi use their tails to communicate emotion and intention, much like cats on Earth. A tail lashing back and forth indicates agitation or anger, while a slowly swaying tail might indicate contentment or focus. When Na'vi are in combat or hunting, you can see their tails moving with purpose, almost like an additional limb that they're using for balance and coordination. The flexibility and muscularity of the tail means it can support significant weight and apply considerable force, making it a truly functional addition to their biology rather than just a vestigial reminder of evolutionary history. Musculature and strength. 4 times stronger than humans. Despite their lean, slender frames that might initially appear almost frail compared to a muscular human, the Na'vi are roughly 4 times stronger than the average human. This was something that really confused scientists when they first encountered the Na'vi, because their musculature doesn't seem to match their strength level. But here's the thing, Na'vi muscle tissue is fundamentally different from human muscle tissue. Their muscles are far more efficient and denser than human muscles, giving them incredible power output without the need for massive bulk. It's almost almost like nature gave them the perfect balance between strength and the agility that comes with lighter weight. This incredible strength means that a single Na'vi warrior can carry loads that would require multiple humans to transport, can strike with devastating force, and can move with explosive speed that humans simply can't match. The strength also manifests in their ability to climb and traverse terrain. A Na'vi can leap distances that seem impossible, catch themselves on branches that would barely support a human's weight momentarily, and move through the jungle canopy with the confidence and ease that a human might walk across a flat field. The respiratory system and sensory enhancements. The Na'vi have what appears to be enhanced versions of most human sensory systems. Their eyes, as we mentioned, can see into the infrared spectrum, giving them the ability to see heat signatures in complete darkness. This is an absolutely game-changing ability for hunting and warfare. Their sense of smell is significantly more developed than in humans. They can track prey through the jungle, identify individuals by scent, and sense changes in their environment through olfactory cues that humans would completely miss. Combined with their superior hearing, which detects frequencies that humans can't hear, their sensory package is really something special. They can hear the subtle sounds of movement in the jungle that would be completely imperceptible to human ears, giving them an early warning system for potential predators or prey. The respiratory system is also interesting. While they breathe an atmosphere that's toxic to humans, their lungs have evolved to extract oxygen from Pandora's unique air composition. They have nostrils on their faces, obviously, but also those additional respiratory openings on their chests that we mentioned earlier. This gives them redundancy in their respiratory system and might provide additional oxygen intake capacity when they need to exert themselves heavily. Their hemoglobin is actually different from that of humans. They have red blood like us, but the proteins that carry oxygen are adapted to Pandora's atmosphere and possibly to their heightened metabolic demands. The skeletal structure, strength through architecture. Under that beautiful blue skin and impressive musculature, the Na'vi have a skeletal structure that's been optimized for their environment in really impressive ways. Their bones are incredibly strong and dense despite their slender appearance. This might seem like a contradiction, but it's actually an elegant solution that nature found. Their skeletal structure is designed for high strength-to-weight ratios, which is crucial for an arboreal species. Their spine is particularly interesting. It's elongated to accommodate their height and their tail, but it's also incredibly flexible, allowing them to twist, bend, and contort in ways that would destroy a human spine. This flexibility is essential for moving through the complex three-dimensional environment of the Pandoran jungle. Their shoulder structure is really broad and well-developed, giving them the leverage needed for their incredible climbing ability and their skill with weapons. Perhaps most importantly, the Na'vi skeleton heals incredibly quickly. We see this in the films when minor injuries quickly fade without leaving permanent scars or damage. This rapid healing is crucial for a warrior culture where combat injuries are inevitable. The reproductive system, connection beyond the physical. Let's take a second to talk about how Na'vi actually reproduce, because it's not as straightforward as humans. Na'vi are monogamous creatures, meaning they typically mate for life. This is a fundamental part of their society and their spirituality. When two Na'vi find each other and decide to mate, they undergo a ritual connection where they link their cues together in an incredibly intimate act. When male and female Na'vi connect their cues, they're creating something far beyond simple physical intimacy. They're linking their nervous systems, experiencing each other's sensations, emotions, and thoughts simultaneously. It's a state of unified consciousness that creates a bond that lasts for life. The intensity of this connection is reportedly so profound that the Na'vi remain in a linked state even after the actual mating is complete, their neural cues continuing to intertwine as their bodies naturally follow the choreography of reproduction. Female Na'vi typically produce between 1 to 10 offspring in their lifetime, with pregnancies spaced across many years. Based on what we see in Avatar: The Way of Water, Na'vi pregnancies appear to be somewhat shorter than human pregnancies, possibly around 7 to 8 months given the rapid growth of Ronal's pregnancy over the time the Sully family spends with the Metkayina clan. After birth, female Na'vi nurse their young for up to 4 months, providing crucial bonding time and nutrition for developing infants. Interestingly, not all Na'vi females chose to have children despite being sexually active, suggesting that they have some form of contraceptive technology or biological knowledge that allows them to control reproduction without abstinence. Daily life and lifestyle, living in harmony with Pandora. The Na'vi are hunter-gatherers with a sophisticated understanding of their environment and impressive craftsmanship. Their days are organized around hunting, gathering, tool-making, and community responsibilities. Hunting is a central part of Na'vi life, and it's not just about putting food on the table. It's a spiritual practice that requires respect for the creature being hunted and an understanding of the cycle of life and death. The Na'vi hunt using bows and arrows, spears, and other weapons they craft from bone, stone, wood, and crystal. They don't have metal tools in the traditional sense, though some clans have learned to work with salvaged human materials. Daily life also involves significant craftsmanship. Everything from weapons to shelter to clothing is handmade. Weaving is particularly important to Na'vi culture, and the creation of garments and other woven goods takes considerable time and skill. They also gather plants and herbs for food, medicine, and other uses. The Na'vi knowledge of Pandoran flora is incredibly sophisticated, understanding which plants are edible, which have medicinal properties, and how to preserve and prepare them for long-term use. Community responsibilities are also significant. The Na'vi gather together for celebrations, ceremonies, and important spiritual events. They engage in music, dancing, and storytelling. They also engage in the warrior training that's so central to their culture, with young Na'vi learning combat skills and how to bond with the creatures that are essential to their survival. Spiritual beliefs and connection with Awa. The Na'vi's spiritual beliefs are absolutely central to understanding their entire existence. They believe in Awa, a sentient planetary consciousness that connects all life on Pandora through the neural networks we discussed earlier. Awa is not a separate god in the way humans typically think of deities. Rather, Awa is the living embodiment of Pandora itself, the planet's consciousness made manifest. Through their cues, Na'vi can connect directly with Awa, accessing the collective wisdom of Pandora and communicating with ancestors and the spirits of creatures they've hunted. The most sacred place to connect with Awa is the Tree of Souls, a massive structure that serves as a central hub for spiritual communication. When Na'vi sit before the Tree of Souls and connect their cues to its roots, they experience a profound connection to Awa and to each other. The Na'vi believe that all living things have a body, a spirit, and a soul, and that death is simply the return of life energy back to Awa. This belief system shapes everything about their culture: how they hunt, how they fight, how they treat each other, and how they relate to their environment. When Na'vi kill for food or in self-defense, they apologize to the spirit of the creature, acknowledging the sacrifice and expressing gratitude. This might seem like just ritual, but for the Na'vi, it's a profound acknowledgement of the interconnectedness of all life. Vulnerabilities. The Na'vi are not invincible. Okay, so the Na'vi are incredibly impressive physically and spiritually, but they do have vulnerabilities. Let's talk about what can actually hurt them or threaten their survival. First and foremost, while their bodies heal quickly, they're still vulnerable to fatal injuries. Arrows through the heart, massive blunt force trauma, and severe injuries to vital organs can still kill a Na'vi just as easily as they would kill a human. The Na'vi's dependence on their connection to Awa is actually a vulnerability in and of itself. If a Na'vi is somehow cut off from this connection, which theoretically shouldn't be possible given Awa's ubiquitous presence, but technology might change that, they would lose a crucial part of their spiritual and possibly even physical well-being. There's also the fact that Na'vi are incredibly dependent on their environment. They're perfectly adapted to Pandora's specific conditions, which means they're vulnerable if those conditions change or if they're taken away from that environment. Their Q is obviously a vulnerability as well. Damaging or severing a Na'vi's Q is devastating and essentially cripples them spiritually, even if they physically survive. We see this treated as an incredibly serious injury in the lore. Additionally, while Na'vi possess superior strength and sensory capabilities, they lack advanced technological weapons systems. Against modern human military hardware, Na'vi warriors are at a significant disadvantage, which is why their victories rely heavily on superior numbers, environmental knowledge, and Awa's intervention. There's also the question of disease and environmental toxins. While Na'vi have adapted to Pandora's atmosphere and most Pandoran organisms, we don't actually know how resistant they are to diseases they haven't evolved to handle. Exposure to human pathogens or biological weapons could be potentially devastating to the Na'vi population, given that they have no natural immunity to organisms from an entirely different biosphere. The clans. Different adaptations across Pandora. One thing that's really interesting is that not all Na'vi are identical. While they share the same basic biological blueprint, different Na'vi clans have adapted to their specific environments in subtle but significant ways. The forest-dwelling Omaticaya clan, who are the main focus of the first film, are lean and built for arboreal life, But then you have the Metkaina clan from the second film, who are ocean-adapted Na'vi with slightly different anatomical features. The ocean Na'vi are taller, their skin tone might vary slightly, and they have some physical adaptations that make them better suited to aquatic life. They're stronger swimmers, can hold their breath longer, and their fingers and toes have subtle webbing that helps with aquatic navigation. Other clans we know about include the Torak Makto's followers, various Plains clans, and, as we're about to see in Avatar Fire and Ash, the Mangquan, or Ash people, were adapted to volcanic ash-covered regions and have their own unique characteristics. These variations demonstrate that Na'vi evolution has continued, with different populations developing adaptations suited to their specific ecosystems. This is actually pretty exciting because it suggests that there's a lot more biological diversity among the Na'vi than we might initially assume. Each clan represents millions of years of specialized adaptation to their particular environment, making the species as a whole far more complex and fascinating than a single population would suggest. What we might discover in Avatar, Fire and Ash, and beyond. So we're about to enter a really exciting phase of Avatar storytelling, particularly with Avatar Fire and Ash releasing in December 2025. From what we know about this film, we're going to encounter the Mangquan clan, also known as the Ash people, who represent a completely new population of Na'vi adapted to a harsh volcanic environment. This promises to show us new anatomical variations and cultural differences that could fundamentally expand our understanding of Na'vi diversity. The Ash people appear to be more aggressive and warlike than previous Na'vi clans we've encountered, which raises fascinating questions about whether aggression and warfare are universal Na'vi traits or whether they're specific to certain clans or environmental pressures. We might also learn more about Na'vi origins and whether there's any truth to the theory that they were engineered or influenced by Eywa to become the perfect inhabitants of Pandora. Looking further ahead to Avatar 4 and 5, there's speculation about underwater Na'vi and potentially even spacefaring Na'vi, though that might be getting too speculative. What's certain is that James Cameron has repeatedly teased expanding animated projects that could explore different aspects of Na'vi lore and history. There might be stories about the origins of specific clans, deep dives into Na'vi history, or revelations about Eywa herself and how she came to be the sentient consciousness of Pandora.
Burn them all.
Marvelous verdict. A species worth understanding. When you really dig into the anatomy and biology of the Na'vi, you realize James Cameron created a species that's internally consistent, thoroughly thought through, and genuinely fascinating from both a biological and cultural standpoint. The Na'vi represent something special in science fiction world building. Understanding the Na'vi helps us appreciate what makes them such compelling characters in the Avatar films. Their spirituality and connection to Eywa isn't just mystical window dressing, it's the biological and philosophical framework that shapes every decision they make. Their vulnerabilities remind us that even the most impressive creatures have weaknesses and can be threatened by forces they don't understand. The story of the Na'vi is ultimately a story about harmony, adaptation, and the incredible potential of life when it evolves in tandem with its environment. And honestly, in a world where we're constantly struggling with our own relationship to our planet, there's something profoundly meaningful about that. Do let us know your thoughts on the upcoming film and the unique features of the Na'vi people in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us while you're down there. Otherwise, thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and have a marvelous day.